Lesson 2. Absolute Law. The Arcane Scroll contains the following aphorisms regarding the supreme law, which in the arcane teaching is known as the law. Aphorism 1. The law is. Aphorism 2. Beyond the law there is not. Higher than the law there is not. Elder than the law there is not. Aphorism 3. The law is the absolute, existing beyond time and space and change, transcending the three principles and the seven laws. It hath ever been, ever is, and ever shall be. Ever unique, unconditioned, immutable, self-existent, self-sufficient, independent, abstract, it dwelleth unknowable, unthinkable, ineffable. Aphorism 4. The law is the efficient reason for all things, and is the supreme power and causer. A consideration of the above four aphorisms will throw light on the inner meaning contained within them. Let us now consider them in detail. Aphorism 1. The law is. In this aphorism the word is denotes present, actual existence. It is as strong a term denoting actual existence as the English language supplies. But in the ancient arcane terminology, its Grecian equivalent was used in a still stronger sense than the ordinary use of the word is indicates. In the English language, the word is used as the third-person singular of the verb be, in the indicative mood present tense. But the word is and be have two entirely different original meanings, particularly when considered from the point of view of the ancient arcane school. To explain further, the word be is derived from the Greek word phou, Phuo, meaning to bring forth, to produce, to be born, etc. The original meaning signifying beginning in time, existence of a preceding cause, relativity, etc. And accordingly the ancient Greek philosophers, especially those of the arcane schools, used the term be and being to denote the relative existence of the phenomenal or manifested universe, and not in the sense of absolute existence. The word is, on the contrary, is desired from the word esti, E-S-T-I, which in turn was derived from the Sanskrit word asti, A-S-T-I, both of which denote existence in its absolute sense, without reference to birth, bringing forth, or production. In its true and arcane significance, the word is analogous to am, which had its origin in the Sanskrit asmi, A-S-M-I, signifying absolute existence, which significance was also imparted to analogous words in the Hebrew, Egyptian, and other Oriental language. The word is has the significance of the word am, A-M, in the following quotation from Exodus 3:14 in the Hebrew sacred books. And God said unto Moses, I am that I am. And he said, Thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, I am hath sent me unto you. This then is the sense in which the arcane aphorism employs the term is, in the sense of absolute existence. We have taken the pains to explain this to you at length, not for the purpose of verbal hair-splitting, but in order to bring out the true occult meaning of the term. This particularly because we shall use the term being in its relative sense in connection with the cosmos as we proceed. Remember that there is no isness other than that of the law. Other isness is but being, which is relative, created, and phenomenal. In the true sense, there is no is other than the existence of the law. For this reason we shall always print the word in capital letters when we use it in its arcane significance. Aphorism 2. Beyond the law there is not. Higher than the law there is not. Elder than the law there is not. In these three sentences is taught the absolute omnipresence, the absolute supremacy, the eternity, and the self-existence of the law. There is not beyond it, for there is no beyond. There is not elder than it, for it is eternal and self-existent, there being nothing precedent to it to have caused or created it. We must here ask you to consider the fact that the aphorism uses the term not instead of nothing, for the reason that the arcane meaning of the two terms is different. In the arcane sense, the word not means absolute negation. That is, it denotes the absence of isness or amness, and also the absence of even relative being. Not means absolute notness, a condition of non-existent past, present, or future, absolute or relative. It is a positive denial of any existence whatsoever of any kind, character, or degree, past, present, or future. Further than this, language cannot go. But the words nothing and nothingness, although generally used as meaning notness, in the sense just mentioned, have an entirely different arcane significance and meaning. In the aphorisms and in all the arcane teaching, these words are used in a relative sense, a capital N being employed to denote the said use of the word. We shall consider this nothingness a little later on. Aphorism 3. The first sentence is, "The law is absolute." In this sentence is stated the highest truth capable of being expressed in words. Let us examine the term and see what it really means. Absolute means in its original and essential significance unbound, free, unfettered, unrestrained. There are a number of derivative meanings, but the above definition gives the essential meaning of the term, and that meaning may be reduced to one word: free. In other words, absoluteness means perfect freedom, sovereignty, supremacy. There can be nothing higher than absoluteness. There can be nothing over absoluteness. There can be no power beyond absoluteness. The law of a thing or things is the sovereign power that exercises a control over it, and an absolute law is a supreme, highest, and unqualified power over all things. Therefore is the absolute called law. Therefore is the law called absolute. The term absolute law is the highest and most positive term in the language expressing power and control. There can be nothing that can oppose such power or run contrary to it, or overrule it, or break it. It is power absolutely supreme. The absolute law must not only be self-governed and uncontrolled, but must also be self-existent and causeless. For if there were aught else to have created it, or to have caused it to exist, then that other would be the absolute. The very meaning of the term precludes any outside cause affecting it. It is causeless, and it exists of and because of itself. To speak of aught causing, governing, or binding the absolute is to utter words that have no meaning. And even if we postulate a supreme being governed by the law of his own inner nature, then these inner laws, rather than the supreme being, are the absolute. So you see that at the last the law and the absolute must be the one and the same. The aphorism continues, existing beyond time and space and change, transcending the three principles and the seven laws, it hath ever been, ever is, and ever shall be. The words is, hath, ever been, and ever shall be denotes the eternality of the law, for a self-existent, causeless, absolute must be eternal, for naught could have caused it, nor could aught ever terminate it. Beyond time and space expresses its omnipresence and eternality. Time and space belong to the infinite nothingness, which is subject to the absolute law. Transcending the three principles and the seven laws. By this is meant the three principles of the cosmos, and the seven laws by which the law manifests itself through the cosmos when the latter emerges in manifestation from the unmanifest, infinity of nothingness. Transcending means, of course, surpassing, surmounting, being above, being beyond, etc. As the three principles are aspects of the cosmos, and the seven laws are caused by the absolute law, it follows that the latter is superior and over them. Ever unique, unconditioned, immutable, self-existent, self-sufficient, independent, and abstract. Let us consider the meaning of each of the words composing this remarkable sentence. Ever, always, forever, continually, without cessation. Unique, without a like or equal, unmatched, unparalleled soul. Unconditioned, not subject to conditions or limitations, hence inconceivable, incognitable. Immutable, unchangeable, invariable, changeless. Self-existent, free from cause, existing independent of aught else. Self-sufficient, sufficient for self without aid or cooperation. Independent, not dependent, not subject to control, not relying on aught, not subordinate or coordinate. Abstract, apart from aught else, separate from aught else, existing apart and in itself, etc. The above definitions need no further explanation or comment. They tell their own tale and convey the meaning of the aphorisms clearly when thus defined. The aphorism closes with the following words: "It dwelleth unknowable, unthinkable, ineffable." These three words have the following meaning. Unknowable, that which cannot be known, being too difficult or subtle for the human intellect. Unthinkable, that which cannot be made an object of thought, incapable of being thought, incognitable, eluding the understanding, etc. Ineffable, incapable of being expressed in words, inexpressible, indescribable, etc. The combined idea of the three terms is well expressed by Herbert Spencer in his famous sentence: "By continually seeking to know, and being continually thrown back with a deepened conviction of the impossibility of knowing, we may keep alive the consciousness that it is alike our highest wisdom and our highest duty to regard that through which all things exist as the unknowable." Or as Edwin Arnold in his Light of Asia voices the beginning of the teaching of the Buddha: "Om Amitaya, measure not with words the immeasurable, nor sink the strings of thought into the fathomless. Who asks doth err, who answers err, say not. Shall any gazer see with mortal eyes, or any searcher know with mortal mind? Veil after veil will lift, but there must be veil upon veil behind." But it may be asked, if the law is unknowable, unthinkable, and ineffable, then why do you attempt to inform us regarding it? Why do you attempt to teach us about it? The answer, O neophyte, is this: we seek not to explain the unexplainable law to you. We strive not to describe its nature to you, for that would be impossible, there being no words to express it, and no minds capable of understanding it were it explained. The aphorism expresses this truth fully and emphatically, but we do desire to impress upon your mind and understanding the fact that it is. Not only do we ask you to believe this because the arcane teaching is the repository of the reports of the highest minds of the race, the illumined of all ages, but also because the intellect and intuition of every advanced man reports to him this truth and informs him that back of, beyond, over and under, and in all, there is the supreme law. No matter what may be his religion, ancient or modern, or his lack of religion, no matter what may be his philosophy, metaphysics, or theology, named or unnamed, no matter upon what lines he may have thought, if he has thought at all, man must ever recognize the report of this reason and his intuition, which informs him of the existence of a supreme and universal law governing all things. To deny this is to deny reason. Faith is not required. Reason suffices and fully informs that the law is, and with that isness the report ceases. The knowledge is then known to low and high alike. While advanced beings on higher planes have reported great knowledge regarding the cosmos, they state positively that they know no more regarding the nature of the law than does the humble thinker on our own plane. But from the highest comes the same report as that which informs the mind of the lowest. The law is. Therefore, in asking you to accept this report of the illumined, the highest of the race, including those whom we call the elder brethren, we ask you to accept only that which your own reason informs you to be a basic truth. The law is. It is true that the race is built around the conception of the absolute law, the varying conceptions of personal deities and pantheistic beings, but analyze them all and you will find that the reason for the activities of these deities, personal or pantheistic, has been the desire, will, want, inclination, or inner laws, which are supposed to actuate their manifestation or incite their activities, either consciously, unconsciously, or according to some of the Hindu schools, because of ignorance, illusion, or self-deception. In short, all of these conceptions of deity are beings, who are actuated by motives, feelings, desires of inner laws, just as are men and other manifested or created things. The anthropomorphic idea is evidenced not only in the crude conception of deity held by the savages, but also in the higher concepts and even in the concepts of a pantheistic being or absolute being held by some of the philosophers and religious teachers of East and West. The pantheistic conception is utterly illogical, for as Schopenhauer said, when we think of nature as God, we show God to the door. And as the arcane teachers point out, even admitting any of these conceptions of being, the mind must see that in the inner law that moves being to activity, the law of itself, there alone is to be found the Absolute. In such cases the law, not the being, is the Absolute, for it is the causer and controller and mover and reason of the universe. It is true that some of the philosophers and teachers try to explain away this fact by saying that being and law are one, but this is no solution, for even if that be admitted, then the law within the being is the efficient reason and causer of action, and the rest of the being is controlled, acted upon, and moved by the law within it. The whole idea of being must be discarded in considering the Absolute. The Absolute is and can be only law, for in all conception, the law is, and must be, seen to be the ultimate cause of all activity. The advocates of absolute being object that they are unable to conceive of law without a law-giving being. But considering this answer, we soon see that in order for the law-giving being to proceed to give or promulgate law, it must be moved by some inner law, desire, want, or will of its own nature, and that simply pushes back the question one step further. Try as we may, we cannot escape the conviction that law is the first and last cause, the beginning and the ending, the efficient reason of all things. Law is not a being, not a mind, not a spirit, not a thing. It is law and not else. We must accept it as absolute power and as the aphorisms present it to us. Beyond this we cannot go. Examine the aphorisms carefully, and you will find that they agree fully with the highest reports of your reason, and in no way run contrary to it. Aphorism 4. The law is the efficient reason of all things, and is the supreme power and causer of all the cosmos. In this aphorism is stated plainly and clearly the truth that the law is the supreme power of the cosmos, and the causer thereof. The term efficient reason conveys the entire truth regarding the creation of or evolution of the cosmos. Let us consider the definition of the two words composing the term in order to see the meaning still more clearly. Efficient, causing or producing effects or results, acting as the cause of effects, a prime mover, actively operative, etc. Reason, an efficient cause, a final cause, explanation, that which explains or accounts for anything, motive of action, etc. The cosmos is explainable only by the law. Without the law, there could be no cosmos. The law is the cause of the cosmos and of every manifestation within it. The very word cosmos is derived from the Greek word meaning the universe as governed by law. Not only the arcane teaching, but modern science states it as its first axiom. The cosmos is governed by law. To those who prefer the idea of an anthropomorphic being or a world spirit as the absolute, we have to say that unfortunately for their idea, the facts of the cosmos are all against them. Law is everywhere seen to be dominant and sovereign, even in its relative manifestation. We cannot escape it and should not desire to, and will not desire to, when we understand its meaning. The explanation of this must wait until its proper place in these lessons is reached. Enough for the present to state that in all human ideas of law there is to be found the correlated ideas of justice and equity. Know then that this relative idea, when transformed to the absolute plane, results in the identification of absolute justice and absolute equity with the absolute law. Could mortal ask more? Has he aught to fear of absolute equity and justice? Can he not postulate in the absolute all the highest conceptions of fair play that he finds in himself? The cosmos is governed by law.